I can't say that we've made mistakes. I think we tried. Maybe we tried too hard at some things, but we're good. We've done good. And we will continue to do good if only that we have the leadership to help us make things good. It's tough. It really is tough. Oh, I got myself messed up here. This was probably, when I sat down to put these messages together, I had a lot easier subjects on my mind. But I come to the conclusion after about 4 hours of trying to put something together that that's not what I was supposed to talk about, and that I was supposed to talk about knowledge and how Christians can use it to our benefit, and how if we have the knowledge and we don't use it, it'll be to our detriment. You know, and that's what the Bible keeps saying. It keeps pointing back and forth that if you have the knowledge, you have to use it. But if you don't have the knowledge, I mean, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble in those times by not using it. If you go to 2 Peter 3:17 through 18, you therefore, beloved, since you know this beforehand, beware, lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, being led away with the error of the wicked. But grow in the grace and the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be the glory, and both now and forever. There again, it's another point that he goes to. It's the importance of us having the knowledge. Now, if we continue to go the way we're going and overlooking so many things that are going on and pretending that they don't exist, and that's what I think most of us are doing, you know, because it's easier to ignore than to be involved, then we kind of deserve what we get. I don't think God meant us to do that. I mean, you sit back. I'm 62 years old. I don't have the knowledge of a lot of people here that are older, but I've seen a difference. Pastor talks about it many times. I mean, growing up as a kid, you can see the progressive loss of Christ in our country. I know when I was growing up, I mean, there was always something going on. You had the full gospel businessmen, which my mother was involved in, which I had to be involved in. I was drugged out forcibly at times. But there was all kinds of, the churches were more involved. You heard more about God. You had more things going on with Christ, more preparedness. You had more talk about end times back then than you do today. And progressively over my life, I see it disappear. The pastor says many times up here when he's talking about the differences in the services. There's no two Sunday services. I mean, back in the 60s, the 70s, I remember there was Sunday morning and Sunday evening services. That was traditional. That was it. You know, and today it's hard to get people to come out to one. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. So at that point, it looks to me like the devil's winning. You know, he's changing our attitudes towards Christ, and it looks like he's winning. And by gosh, I don't want to be on the side of that winning. I think that's the wrong side. We got the most powerful entity that ever was on our side. God. It don't get any better than that. You go back to what they're trying to make everything that the Americans do so bad, or the Christians do so bad. How can we stand back and watch it? We have to start getting involved. I mean, I'm not saying going out to rallies and doing all this stuff. Some of that's nuts. They get into this things where they're bombing, anti-abortion clinics. Oh, that's another thing what I forgot about. The Democrats' new platform is, late-term abortions. That's okay now. How in the world can anybody pull a baby out of a mother's womb and still be alive and say it's okay to kill him? And that's okay. That's fine. But don't dare want to kill a cop killer or anybody else like that. We kill babies, but other ones are okay. That's unfair. Just another little thought in my mind. They run in back and forth. That's coming with age, in and out. But it leads more credence to what I was saying. We have to have the knowledge and we have to have the fear combined. The fear of God, not the fear of the devil. And to me today it seems like we fear the enemy more than we fear God. I don't know if you ever heard my story about fearing the enemy. I used to have a trucking business. I had 30-some trucks on the road hauling contaminated material from New York, New England, to Michigan and Toledo, Ohio, over the roads, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And when we were down in the little green building in Jeanette, inside, what was that, what hall was that, Mylan? Yeah. Every time it seemed like I'd go to church and I'd really get a good feeling of God would touch me and I'd be on fire, the next day I'd have a truck wreck and throw 23, 26 tons of sludge all over the highway. And not only did it cost a lot of money, we'd have to go up and clean up it, and you get the environmental records and the paperwork and everything. And it was just like, it was amazing that every time we go to church, we'd have a good service, I'd get really excited, and bam, I have a truck wreck. So I stopped going to church. I can't afford to go to church and have my trucks all wrecking. And I talked to the pastor, that was a fact. I stopped going. Because at that point, I'm giving in to the enemy. I say, hey, devil, you're right. You can wreck my trucks. So if I go to church, you're going to wreck my trucks. I'll stay home and sleep. And I did. And, I started to say, right, I'm bound to the enemy's power. So I talked to the pastor about it. And, he talked to me and we prayed about it. And I said, the heck with it. And we went back and we started going, and we still had some wrecks. But they kind of petered out a little bit. And probably the most time of the wrecks was I was hiring stupid drivers. That were eventually, when you really sit back and you look at it, I had drivers that were going too fast, doing a lot of crazy things, racing on the highways, and every wreck had a reason. And I was just finding an easy way to cop out on it and blaming it on God. And that's what I was doing, that I better go the other way. And so I came back. And I asked God's forgiveness for being stupid. And, of course, I've asked him for forgiveness for being stupid many times since. And I think that a lot of people ought to sit down and get rid of some of the bullheadedness in their hearts and then say, that, yeah, we can be stupid as people. We make a lot of mistakes. And thank God we got a God that gave his son to forgive us for being stupid. But that is, this is all stuff I didn't write down. This is just off of my heart. But we have to think more towards the good and give credit to God. He is the most powerful. The devil fears him. Everywhere in the Bible, he fears them. He knows who's the most powerful. But yet, what's going on in our country right now is the people in charge have bowed down. I really wonder sometimes if our president is a so-called Christian. If you look at the information, you kind of doubt it. I'm not saying that he isn't, but boy, he sure don't play the game like he was. He more touters to the opposition than he does to the. And I suggest somebody, if you haven't gone to see it yet, go out and see Obama 2016. Linda and I went. It's done very well. It doesn't really, it's not a thing that you would go in and figure that they're really bad-mouthing and persecuting the president. It's not. It's done very well. It's just facts from his own words in his own book. And they research it, and they go and talk to his brother, and they go to talk to other people. And his views that the press will never tell you about. About his long-term views of what he wants to do. And if he gets his ways, we're going to be more and more of a socialistic or a communist state. And he's leading. If you can't see it today, you're blind. Everything is going towards, he wants more people that are bound to welfare, to unemployment, to the government. Because, they crack me up when they talk about, we're going to have to do this, we're going to have to do this to change the economy. It's real simple. Put people to work, they'll pay their taxes, and you have a bunch of money coming in and stop the businesses Stop trying to put businesses and regulate them out of business. The more businesses there is, the more people that are working. And you got a bigger tax rate coming in. And when that comes in, you balance the budget and you can do things. You can't spend money that you don't have. I tried. Believe me, I tried to do that before. When I was in business, spent money I didn't have. Whew. You get yourself in a lot of trouble real quick because it all comes due at some time. We have to, as Christians, and I think if we take a stand, we don't know when God's coming. I sure wish I knew. You know, I wish I knew. I mean, it'd be a lot easier that way. But we don't. Maybe it's tonight, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe we'll all be dead and buried by the time he does come back. We don't know. But daggone it, I don't want to leave my country in the shape it is in today. I think the Christians are the only shot we got is standing up and voicing our opinions and letting them know how we feel. Because they don't care because we keep our mouths shut. We tear down the 10 Commandments, nobody says anything. We take prayer out of schools, well, you know, you're not allowed to pray, you're not allowed to have a flag, you're not allowed to have anything. But man, they can have anything they want to do as long as it doesn't belong to Christianity in this country. If you go back to the last time I spoke, I braved the words of our founding fathers. Every one of them mentioned God and country and Jesus Christ, every one of them. They may not have all been followers, but they all had fear of God in their heart. All of them. And our country is established with fear of God in their hearts. We have to have that too. We have to be more afraid of God than we are the enemy to succeed. Right now, it's not working that way. We want to stand back and be the little sheep and hope for everything works out the way it's supposed to. That ain't working so well. So we have to take a stand and stand up for God, stand up for his son. They stood up for us. We have to, it's difficult. I know it's difficult. My gosh, some of the situations I get myself into, I wish would have never got involved in them when you start talking to people and you want to be really nice about it. I was up at the courthouse not too long ago for that. I was the only Christian there that Renew Faith that they had, and there was a reporter there, and he was trying to get anything bad he could get on Christianity, on God. And he was trying to corner me. And he says, do you really believe? I said, yeah. He said, do you really believe that God opened the waters of the sea and all these Egyptians ran across it? I said, yeah. How can you believe that? I believe. I have faith. Do you really believe that he was killed and came back? Yeah. And I said to him, I said, well, do you believe in God? Well, yeah. Do you believe in the Bible? Well, some parts of it. I said, you can't. You can't do that. You gotta believe it all. You don't believe any of it. You don't pick and choose. And that's what some people want to do today. They want to pick and choose. You know, they'd rather than discuss something with somebody or stand up for what's right, they go the other way. Or they just turn and walk away. And that way the enemy wins. Nobody said it was going to be easy. But we have to take a stand as Christians today if we ever hope to save our country. You know, if Christ comes back before the election, better be it, because then we don't have to worry about it. You know, let it go the way they want it to go. We won't be here. But if he's a little late and November comes along and then this guy wins again,